And there's only so much talking I can do. Excuse me. There's only so much talking I can do while trying to search them at the same time. But anyway, one thing I loved about shut up, bitch.
Shut up, bitch.
One thing I loved about Part 5 is it's one of the Friday the 13th where Jason is okay. Spoiler alert. Big spoiler alert. Jason is not the killer in this one, and I love it because it's a whodunit. You don't realize who it is till the very end.
Right. Yeah.
That's what's different about this one. Every single other one, except for the first one, you know who the killer is. It's obvious, and there's no whodunit portion of the script. Part 5 does that. You use a little giveaway in the beginning where you can kind of figure it out. Like, especially if you watch it again, you're like, oh, okay, they give it away with this one little scene here. But I can't say enough about this movie. I think it's extremely underrated. Part 5, Friday the 13th. It's got some really good characters. This is the first one of the Friday the 13th where they introduce some camp into the horror. There's a campiness to it. It's funny.
Oh.
There's a biker mama chick that's in it with her redneck half, we'll call handicapped son, who's just this
he's inbred,
moron.
right?
I think. Do you remember the movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one riding the bike around.
Right.
No, Ma, they did me wrong. Ma, they did this.
Right.
He's a great redneck character. The mom is hilarious, cooking the stew. The kids at the insane asylum, for lack of a better term, are great. And also, too, it stars a kid from Different Strokes. He played what character did he play in Different Strokes? It was Arnold's best friend.
Oh. Yeah.
Dudley. I think his name was Dudley.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And he was good, man. He was a very good kid actor in this. There's some scenes going between a place like an RV parking lot. And one thing about the Friday the 13th, they're not all at the Camp Crystal Lake. They're at different parts. It's supposed to be in New York, I guess. So it's at different lakes that are all around the same area. Huh. Some of them are on Camp Crystal Lake, but just a different resort-type area. They're not all about, a summer camp for kids. So this one is an insane asylum. One of the greatest scenes, talk about hilarious, is these two New York biker guys that are really they look like the biker guy and the Village people. And what the hell they're doing way out in the middle of Camp Crystal Lake, I have no idea. They have leather outfits on.
Sure.
They're one of the kids is joking around. One of the kids has to go to the bathroom, number 2, and he goes out into the woods. And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Who the hell just drives down the road and says, I think I got to go to the bathroom, pull over, and I'm going to go out.
I'm going to go out of sight so you can't see me, and then I'll just make it so easy for anybody to kill me.
And then he comes back, and he's like, you better fix the car, doop-de-doop-doop-de-doo. I'll fucking kick your ass, doop-de-doop-doop-de-doo. And he starts singing this little medley.
Right. And
it kills me. The hats they got on, they look like two Bowery Boy kids from the 1920s.
Nice.
In New York or something. It's so hilarious. And I have to say this, too. For all of the horror movies, talk about hot chicks. This is way up there.
Yeah.
There's a girl who does a scene. Her last name is coincidentally Voorhees. And she does a scene with a kid. They go out and away from the insane asylum. And she's just kind of lying there naked. And what I love is that most of the girls in the horror movies objectively are kind of skinny. They're not very busty. Mm-hmm. They're kind of she's very voluptuous and very busty. And I love also the two characters. There's a nerdy kid in there that is very shy who
ends up being the hero.
Not really. No, he's a goner. Oh. But I mean, he in this one, he musters up the courage to say to this girl as they're watching a movie, he's like, I like you. Do you want to go out with me? She laughs at him, and he runs upstairs and goes into his room, and that's when he's off by, we'll just say, the Jason character.
Sure.
But I love the selection of characters. They have different personalities, and I actually feel for this kid when he's a goner. I felt for him. And that says a little something about character development in a little crappy horror movie. Not to mention the fact that it is the best, besides, of course, I'll try to wrap this up, besides Corey Feldman, the best Tommy Jarvis. He is a kid who was a complete and total actor who went on to do documentaries and dramas and played a cop in, I guess, a few movies, but he absolutely did not want to do horror movies. They put out an ad for the movie for actors and said they wanted to do a psychological thriller. They didn't say this is Friday the 13th Part 5. He answered the ad. The actor who plays Tommy Jarvis goes out there, and he finds out that it's a Friday the 13th, and he's like, oh, what the hell, I'll do it anyway. He psychologically got inside the mind of this character, Tommy Jarvis, so well, so much better than the guy that did it in Part 6. He did such a fantastic job playing kind of a whack job, also playing kind of a tough guy. He's kind of built and he's kind of shredded a little bit, and he definitely looked like felt like a nemesis for Jason.
Nice. Can't
say enough about the cast and the crew. Like, it's just every time I watch this movie, I like it more and more. Phew. Okay. All right. I went off on that one. That's my number 21 selection, Friday the 13th Part 5. DM. So on to number 20. What do you got for number 20?
From Beyond.
Oh, good one. Good one.
Just a classic. Good cast. I liked it because it was unique, and I want to say this is the H.P. Lovecraft story too. Like I
think it was too.
Yeah, because of the demons are cosmic, and how it's combining like it's a little bit sci-fi because they show the technology that can the person, whoever's manning the equipment, can cross over into a dark dimension. And so I thought that was fascinating, and how the demons or the beasts can cross over and they bite you. The thing with the guy, like, it's very like sexual, like it's kind of erotic in a gross way. The scene where the cast is great. There's the cop, and then the lady who's, I believe, a scientist, and I can't remember her name off the top, but she's a famous horror actress. Anyway, the guy who plays the doctor, who they take back to the house, he's up there with, like, classic horror actors, like just freaks, and just the whole thing, and the way the room would get dark and how they cross over, and it's just a great movie, and it kind of scared me, but I thought it was more fascinating, just how it was written and how it looked, and it was like more of a thriller in some ways, and like I said, just the way they wrote, and this probably is a little bit of H.P. Lovecraft because he was a fucked up dude. It's very, like I said, they combine eroticism with horror, and it's a psychological thriller. It's in the same way.
Yeah, famous VHS cover for that with one guy. I believe it's the doctor whose parts of him have connected to another person. His brain is connected to somebody else.
Right.
And is trying to morph or absorb it, I believe.
Yeah, it's just bizarre.
Yeah, I love those type of horror movies that are crossovers with sci-fi,
right, psychological
thrillers and stuff. So excellent, good selection. I totally remember that. Haven't seen it in years. Okay, so number 20 for me is an absolute classic. Reminds me of Return of the Living Dead as far as classic horror movie. This one is in the latter part of the decade, 1988. It was unsuccessfully remade, I believe, a decade later. We're talking about Night of the Demons. I love this movie. It has this fantastic animated intro when it's going through the credits that I absolutely love. The artistry is fantastic. Directed by Kevin S. Tani, who does another movie on the list here, further up on my list. It's about basically a bunch of kids. It's Halloween nights, and they basically go to a haunted house. Absolutely love the soundtrack. The soundtrack is magnificent. Reminds me a little bit of how Goblin did the soundtracks for Argento in the 70s. I don't have the name of the band in front of me right now, but if you watch this movie, you'll see it and just love the music. If you love kind of like, it's not even metal, I think it's kind of hardcore grind music or something with great beats.
Oh.
Very, very effective. Linnea Quigley, again, who I mentioned,
nice.
And maybe that's why it reminds me of Return of the Living Dead. She's in this as well. She does a famous scene, might be the first one that I've ever seen who created this like kinder horror look that some of my favorite female riot girl bands, whole obviously she copied that from the girl from God damn, what is that band? My favorite, I'm blanking right now. My favorite punk rock girl band of the 1980s, Dolls.
You're not talking about the Runaways. No.
Dolls.
Wendy O. Williams.
No. It's her name is. I'm sorry. I can't let this go. I have to look this up.
All right.
The kinder horror look. The Dolls. The something Dolls.
Not the New York Dolls. They're from the 70s, and that's a dude band.
It's a guy. It's a girl singer. Boy, I can't help myself. I have to look this up. Okay, thanks a lot. Someone's showing a picture of her without naming the actual band. Babes in Toyland.
Ah!
Kappa G-Land created that kinder horror look, at least for musically, where basically she's dressing up like a little girl, smeared lipstick, smeared makeup,
Love it.
blonde little bob type hair with little bobby pins in them and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, famous scene, and I'm going to say the spoiler, famous scene in Night of the Demons, after Demon has infested her body, she's putting lipstick on in a mirror, smears the lipstick all over, puts the lipstick on her nipple, she's topless, and pushes the lipstick into her nipple, and it absorbs into her body. It is the strangest, I swear to God. There's so many, once the people in the house, once these kids start going down one by one, and they're not off screen, they're just taken over by demons. You have to tell at first if they are. It becomes obvious, but there are some real strange scenes of all of these kids partying while one by one they're turning into demons. I really can't recommend this enough. 1988's Night of the Demons. Boy, my phone is really effing up left and right. I'm trying to stay on the Wikipedia page to describe it, and it keeps going off into different websites. But anyway, 1988, Night of the Demons. Highly recommend it. Love it. Now we are into the top 20. Dean, what is your number 19 selection?
The Company of Wolves.
Oh. Highly acclaimed werewolf movie, I believe.
Love it. Classic. The other one, it's a continuation of that style of, it's another one that, kind of freaked me out. And another one where you see the werewolf, the transformation scenes are a lot better. They totally took that style from The Howling, but it's really good. The story's really good. Your favorite guy who you mentioned before, who's in Child's Play, he's in it. There's another guy, classic actor. It's all around. It's just a good movie. Like the cast is really good. The writing's really good. It just, I don't know, I loved it. And it's just, I'll never forget it. I saw a lot of these movies. I saw them on, basic TV, and they would be on late at night. And so it was one of those movies I saw at night that would scare me because I was young, and the room would be dark and my mom would be asleep because I would sneak in. And so a lot of these movies are badass. Like it was just fun. So I loved it.
That's the best way to see them, isn't it? I love that. Up late on a Saturday night when your parents are asleep and you happen upon a great movie. To be honest with you, I can't comment on that one because I haven't seen it in so long. But I would love to go see it again. Okay, so that's your number 19, right? The Company of Wolves?
Yeah.
Okay. My number 19 is a movie where I don't think I could have included the first and the second ones together the way that you do, because I believe the second one is just as good or just about as good. I just don't know if the second one was a 1980s horror movie, but this one, it's not, I don't know if it's really considered horror movie. It might be, I do. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on there. Number 19, The Stepfather.
Oh, yeah.
It is,
thriller, yeah.
Love it. I actually did see this movie again recently, the first and the second one, I would say within the last 6 months. I thought it was even better than when I saw it when I was a kid. Saw it with my entire family when I was a kid. We all thought, oh, this is a very good movie. Saw it again. It's a classic setup of basically a stepfather trying to ingratiate himself into a family where, the daughter, I believe is this one a daughter and a son? So this one is a daughter, and the second one, I believe, is the son. So the daughter does not take too kindly to him. She doesn't trust him, and with good reason. Terry O'Quinn, who plays the main character, is in another movie that I'm going to mention further up on my list. He did a fantastic job. Fantastic. Playing the stepfather, going between this overly nice, kind of religious, talks real slow and very comforting, and how do you do there, pal, and great to see you, and next thing you know, he's a murderous maniac.
Right.
So I can't say enough. Yeah, classic movie. That's my number 19, Stepfather. DM, what do you got for number 18?
Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, this is all you, because that is way high up on my list.
Classic. Well, I'd just say that it's a great movie. It's great writing. It's fucking odd, and it's just the whole thing with the aunt who wants a daughter so bad makes this little boy become basically makes him become a girl.
Boy, that is a huge spoiler, by the way.
I mean, but it's so fucking odd, and then when he gets to the camp, he's so whacked out because she's done such a number on him psychologically, and the kids too, like they're a little off. But all the scene, like the curling iron scene, is fucked up.
Classic.
Like just all these, just crazy, and it's just a little boy who's, if you don't treat your kids right, they're gonna be fucked up. And watch the whole thing, but then at the end, I think we talked about this years ago because it was such a memorable movie. But the end is just like, it's fucking great. I mean, it's just like, it's scary as fuck, and it's great suspense. It's a great build-up. You have no idea. It's just like where all these people, and all, of course, all the shitty people die, basically, who are mean to him. It's just great. They try to make some sequels, and I checked them out, and they can't. It's one of those movies, like, sometimes you don't need to make a sequel. It's a one and done. Like, I love it. It's classic, and it scared the shit out of me at the end. It was like just fucked up. The facial expression, it was an actual girl that played the character. She's actually, I looked her up, and she still does, like, she does conventions. Of course, I'm not being very, thorough with the name or anything, but the person who played in Sleepaway Camp, the star, she's like, she's great. Like she's still alive. She doesn't look like she's been ruined by Hollywood, and like she's had a good life. But I can't say enough about it. It's good on so many levels. It's just classic. And I don't know, it's just good.
Yeah. One thing I'll say, if we could, DM, we should really try. There could be some people listening to this that have never seen these movies. We should try as hard as possible to not give away very important plot twists or endings. If we can, only because, like, if everything you said, if I wanted to see it, you gave away the major plot of it, it'd be like, well, it definitely takes away from if somebody was going to go see that.
Yeah.
Granted, these are 4 years old, but we'll try the best we can. But, or at least maybe we could just try to say spoiler alert first. Okay, so number 20, but great movie, great selection. So what I'm going to do for my number, what are we on, 18 here. Number 18 for me is one you already mentioned, Fright Night, 1985. Loved it. It's a great time without being overly gory or really kind of overly scary. But it's highlighted by the characters. I think the characterizations are fantastic. The acting is very good. Roddy McDowell, who plays the main character, who hosts basically a late-night ghoul show where he can defeat ghouls and whatever ghosts and whatever is going on. He also, of course, was in, I believe he was in Time After Time that I have on my 1970s list. I think he's a very good actor.
Oh, he's classic.
Yeah, not only that, Chris Sarandon, who plays the main vampire, who was in Child's Play that I mentioned before. I think he's related to Susan Sarandon. I believe that they're brother and sister.
Maybe.
Also included in the cast, Amanda Burse, if you remember, she's Brewster's girlfriend. She ended up on Married with Children.
Yeah.
Later on, a very good actress. And, of course, you cannot forget the little dorky kid, Stephen Jeffries, plays a little Brewster, the little, sort of acne, losing his voice. He was in Fraternity Vacation, one of my favorite, like, cheesy 80s summer flick things. But he totally reminds me of the Simpsons character, like the generic token high school character on the Simpsons that works at Krusty Burger.
Right.
Would you like to try the new Krusty Burger with cheese? It's 99 cents for a limited time.
He's a great monster too in it. I think he was great. Great character.
Loved it. So definitely recommend that movie if you haven't seen it. Fright Night, 1985. That's my number 18. DM, what do you got for number 17?
Let's see. Faces of Death 2.
Okay.
Just because it grossed me the fuck out when I saw it, and I can put it on a list as a horror film because it's a lot of it's fake, and a lot of the scenes are actually just they're fake. The premise is supposed to be a documentary, but there's a lot of the scenes that are created to set. Some of the scenes are sets. It's just fucking gross. And the guy who plays the host is he's great. Like he's just so deadpan and depressing. He's perfect for this movie. And I don't know, it's just gross. And if you like gore and gross, then it's you'll love this movie because it's just nasty. And my friends and I, it was such a thrill to watch this because it was like it was like a test of your adolescence as a tween and a teenage boy. Like, oh my God, did you watch Faces of Death? And that was the thing.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Totally agree. I had it on my the first one was on my 1970s list. Like you said, it's kind of a rite of passage. Like if you're tough enough as a kid to sit through that and take it. I definitely don't have the second one on my list, but it was very popular. I believe as the third one as well. So it was a very popular franchise back in the day. Number 17 for me, I really, really like this. I don't know too many people that have seen this movie, but it was distributed by Paragon, a distribution company called Paragon.
Yeah.
Who did, and I'm going to go ahead and say this other movie too, because I know I said this movie, you hadn't heard of it. It's a very popular 80s, early 80s horror movie called Gates of Hell. The Witching with Orson Welles. The Paragon, they absolutely were a distribution company that, if you watch Quentin Tarantino movies with how he parodies 1970s production, this is absolutely 100%. He's parodying a company like this and their production value. Basically, what they would say during one of their movies, which DM, I took the title of with a little story that I wrote back in the day about, I've talked about it before,
Boarding House.
Boarding House.
A boarding house, yes.
Yeah. So what they did during Boarding House is they said, this is a movie so shocking that we don't want you to have a heart attack. So we will do this when a shocking moment comes. And it basically just a hand comes out and goes from like a fist to an open palm. And a little noise comes out and goes like, "Rear," and you're supposed to look away if you don't want to see the shocking moments. So, like, totally is a classic 1970s, 1980s production company. And this movie is probably the best of all of the movies that they distributed. And it is not cheesy. It is not cheap. It is fantastic. It's called Just Before Dawn. I highly recommend this movie. It's a little bit Deliverance. It's a little bit Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It takes place out in the woods. There's some beautiful photography in Oregon of the woods and these waterfalls and these beautiful lakes. The opening scene, by the way, is kind of legendary. Not to mention, I want to say two things. The beginning scene and the soundtrack basically is a whistle. And that's it. It goes, I don't know if I can do this over the phone, but
wow.
And basically what it is there's a backwoods cannibal family that's how they communicate with each other, is by whistles. And that's a part of the soundtrack, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. The opening scene comes out, and it's basically two guys. One of them's a drunk who survives at least a while. Another one is a guy comes in. It's a very famous scene. Spoiler alert. They go to a church, and I guess there's been something's happening at a church where they got called to try to restore it a little bit. There's some damage done to a church. Guy walks in, and there's some great lines, great connections to, these guys are hunters, and they're not very good. Supposedly they're not good shots, they're not good with knives, so when they go after these animals, I guess the animals have to suffer a lot because one shot would never do it. 2 shots, they joke around about how long it takes them to kill an animal when they hunt it. So they're the first ones that get hunted by the killers, and I think it's not a coincidence that that's the way that the director starts this movie. And there's a great line where the drunk comes out and stands at the oh boy, I forgot what they call it. It's a podium basically for a priest to make a speech.
Yeah.
And he says, "I'm bringing back the Holy Spirits," and he laughs and he holds up a big bottle of booze. And as he does, he looks up at the ceiling and sees one of these backward maniacs there. And the other guy just thinks he's drunk. Now, again, the spoiler alert scene right now, spoiler alert, one of these guys comes out and kills one of the two, and it's a big, huge machete. Before Jason starts using machetes, it was 1981, and it goes right through his groin, basically, all the way to the other side. He puts it in, then he slowly pulls it back out, and it's just horrific, and it's something where you can feel that the guy is limping around afterwards for a couple of minutes before he dies. What a horrific way, and that sets the stage for this whole movie. And throughout the movie, you'll hear whistles, and nobody knows what it is, and then basically that's what it is. Anyway, Just Before Dawn, 1981, highly recommend it. Love the movie.
Nice.
DM, what is your selection for? We're getting up there now. What are we at? Number 16.
Yes. 16, The Shining.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This
is all you on this one.
Classic Jack Nicholson plays, you know, a classic guy who loses his shit. You know, tries to kill his family. You got the Red Room. So, spoiler, there's a Red Room scene with a little boy. Shelley Duvall, spoiler alert, great. She plays a great scream queen. And I guess Stanley Kubrick fucked her up where she stopped acting after this. Like, and I've seen pictures, or I've seen, you know, pictures of her now, and he did a number on her, man. It's just it's actually kind of sad, but if you look, and Stephen King didn't like this version either. I think he
right, absolutely,
he was very upset about it, but it's classic. It's Stephen King's great. I never read the book, but you can tell me if this happens. But like, I love the fact that like all the spirits in the mansion are like racist old 1920s like white people that like.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of like what he was doing on purpose. Talking about that, you know, just how people were back in the day, how they treated, how they did Scatman Crothers yet again, another great performance by him. It's just classic, and it's just fucking bizarre. It's a classic horror thriller. I mean, it's been not always ripped off, but just honored. Like, it's just there's so many people and so many generations of people, different generations that love it, you know, and it's just it's up there. Did he get an Academy Award for that, Jack Nicholson? No,
he wasn't even nominated, I don't believe.
Oh, he should have, because like he just loses his shit, and it's amazing, you know, that it's isn't it like, it's basically like he gets cabin fever, right? Like severe cabin fever.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
And it just, you know, it's this huge mansion in the middle of nowhere, in the snowstorm, and just, I don't know, Jack Nicholson, man, when he's on and he plays a good psychopath, like just loses his shit.
Yeah, love it. I'll have more to say about that later. My number 16 is, well, there's a lot of Stephen King here, is one of my favorite short stories of his. I'm trying to think of the name. It's called Cycle of the Werewolf is the short story, and I love it to death. No pun intended. The movie is 1985. It's Silver Bullet.
Oh yeah.
It stars a young Corey Haim. There are certainly some differences between the book and the movie, and it's hard to do these. I mentioned it earlier, DM. It's hard to do these without giving some spoilers away. I mean, it really is. I mean, we'll just try to not give away maybe the main twist and the ending, but otherwise, expect to hear a lot about these movies.
Wait,
maybe
Gary Busey's in it, right?
Yeah, I was about to talk about the cast after I talked about. We might actually we'll put a list in YouTube. We'll number these 1 through 3. We'll try to do that, so that if you want to see our list without listening to the specific scenes, go ahead. But yeah, you mentioned Gary Busey, man. He was fantastic playing the drunk uncle in this. Loved it. Love the fact that he was so funny in this movie too, where he was the only one who half believed that this was actually a werewolf that was committing some murders in a small town, and the relationship too. One thing that's very different about the book. In the book, first of all, Corey Haim's character doesn't come until maybe halfway through the book, and he doesn't have. They do not highlight the relationship between him and his sister the same way nearly at all in the book that Stephen King does, which, to be honest with you, is really a lot more graphic, gory, and scarier. This is made into a kind of a PG-13 movie, but I'll tell you what, man, the damn werewolf was very well done, I thought. Of all the werewolf movies in the 1980s, I thought it was very well done. my guy Terry O'Quinn, I mentioned him earlier. He plays the bar. Does he play? Is he the bartender? No, he's the parent. He's a parent of a child that gets taken down by a werewolf. But there's a great scene in the movie where the town goes after the werewolf, and it's nothing but like London fog. It says all of a sudden you transport to London, and they're out like in the mist and the fog.
Right.
And there's great scenes where they're trying to go after the werewolf. I'm not going to say who the werewolf is. We'll just say the guy who you end up knowing who it is great. He tries to sort of justify the killings by, like one woman is pregnant out of wedlock and is not with the man that she got impregnated by. He actually picks his victims rather than just having to eat anybody that happens upon his way, for the most part. Right. Some of it, of course, is by convenience, but love the movie. I'll tell you what, Corey Haim was, I don't think it's just, Hollywood designed. I think he was a damn good child actor. I think he was great in this movie.
I love him.
So I mean, I'm not sure if there's too many other things I can say about it, but very well done movie. It's PG-13. If you're a parent out there, if you have kids, I believe that you can watch. I mean, I think I saw it when I was 11 years old. Didn't give me nightmares. So if you have a young kid, maybe not 5 or 6, but a young teenager, I think they can watch this without getting too many nightmares. So anything else you want to say about Silver Bullet DM?
I forgot to put it on my list, but yeah, it's another classic werewolf movie. I like the story, I like the premise, I like the cast. It's a good movie.
Cool. All right, so what do you got as your number 15 selection? John
Carpenter's The Thing.
Okay.
Just classic. Just strange. It's a classic John Carpenter movie. Kurt Russell's great in it. The fucking entire cast is amazing. I just love Kurt Russell's character with the paunch or the old school hat, like a mail delivery person, from the old cowboy hat, and just how the monster is and how it's an alien, how it's like it becomes a thriller because then it's spoiler like because of how the monster is, nobody knows who's infected or whatever.
Right.
Takes place in. I love the fact it takes place in I believe it's Antarctica. Because they're a research team. Like I said, great cast. Keith David. Fucking classic. One of my favorite actors. What the fuck? Man, it's just a good cast. It's a good story. I don't know what more to say about it. It's just, love John Carpenter, and it's just one of those movies I saw, and it freaked me out because it was like the sound they use, the scoring is amazing, the special effects are great. It's just, how the monster, it's just so unique because it's alien. It's one of the first movies I've seen of its kind where it's like an alien monster, and they in the early 2000s they had a sequel, and then where they go back, and then they also had a video game I think they came out with that was a prequel that led up.
That was cool.
And I love the fact they did that, and it gives the fan of the movie insight on how things happened, and it's great. I love it. It's fine. I like the sequel too. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay, I like that as well. You gotta love John Carpenter. My number 15 is from another magnificent director. It is a remake, one of the best remakes of all time. The director is David Cronenberg.
Wow.
Absolutely fantastic. You talk about a guy that's had an unbelievable career. I can't say enough about this guy. So many great movies, so many different weird, odd movies that he's done. So the remake, of course, is The Fly, 1986. Some really, again, it's questionable whether or not it's horror. It's probably more sci-fi. I loved the original with Vincent Price back in the 50s. Went back and saw the original within the last year or two, The Fly 1 and 2. This one is great. There's some real disgusting, more graphic scenes of him as he's starting to turn into the Fly. Great classic cast, Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, who was probably a very underrated actress. I think she's had many good parts. Yeah, when I say underrated, I don't know. Maybe she actually, just as I said this, I'm thinking maybe she could have got into character a little bit more in this movie. But I really haven't seen it in a long time. I'm trying to look here. I don't really have too much else to say about The Fly.
It's great. The transformation's great. Jeff Goldblum is one of my favorite actors, especially character actors. This is one of his classic roles. David Cronenberg is like great because his shit is it's bizarre. It's like, I don't know. It's like he combines. He's a horror sci-fi guy, so he combines both. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just great, and it's a great remake. I like the way he did it. I don't know. One last thing I would say is that I almost included in our 1970s. I almost included the movie The Brood, which was a very weird movie about these little, not demonic, but these mutant children that are created. And he must really have hated, if you ever see this movie, he must have really hated his ex-wife. He was going through a divorce at the time. If I was his kid, I'd probably be very offended by him making the children of this woman these little mutant pricks who are murderers. Right.
Anyway, that's David Cronenberg. He is a friggin' weirdo. By the way, you know what's funny is that I heard a story. I believe it was Cronenberg. I believe it was him. He went to Boston University with the lead singer. He was the roommate of the lead singer for the Jay Giles band, Wolf.
Nice.
And Peter Wolf. And Peter Wolf was so freaked out by him, he said, get me the F out of this guy's room. I have to, get me a new roommate. This guy's weird. Great story. So David Cronenberg, Canadian filmmaker. I think he's great. All right, so number 14, DM, what is your selection? American
Werewolf in London.
Excellent.
This is another classic werewolf horror movie. I thought it was not only a good horror movie, but it was there was actually, the writing's really good because it, and spoilered, but it focuses a lot on the repercussions of your actions, so to speak. And another spoiler alert, but the scene where they're in the theater and he keeps, I'm gonna talk shit out because it's great, but and it was different, and it's in London, so it's a great different perspective. The look of the wolf I thought was interesting because it's more four-legged. It doesn't walk on 2 feet. It's a savage, uncontrollable. The transformation scene, yet again, they took from The Howling, I believe, but the guy, the transformation's great. The cast is great. The premise is great. But there's a scene where they're sitting in I think it's a porno theater, because I was back in the day when they had that. And he's talking to the spirits of the people that, that he murdered, the main character. And the scene where he's being trapped in downtown London, and it's just great. And And the way they did it was like he was scared. The werewolf was scared of the humans, and so he just fled like a dog or an animal. Just you think he would just charge in front, and attack, but he just he went in survival mode, and then they killed him. And this was a good take on a werewolf movie, classic.
Yeah. Yep, dig it. I dig it as well. I didn't even mind. They did a sequel in the 90s, I think American Werewolf in Paris, which wasn't that bad. All right, my number 14 movie, I dig this one. It's the second film by Kevin S. Tunney. In my list, it's 1986 Switchboard, starring the hot Tawny Katane. She was very good in this movie. It also stars a guy from General Hospital. Of all characters, his name is Stephen Nichols. He is fantastic in this movie, better actually even than the main star. But it's, of course, about a Ouija board. You can't go wrong when you're talking about a Ouija board. I think the spirit that they summon in this movie is fantastic. The actor who plays the demon is great, and the name not Mal Havoc. I think that's the Super Friends. What is the name of the malevolent demon? Let me take a look. I'll be able to find this. Mal Fader. I know it was a Mal something. Anyway, fantastic. There's some great dream sequences in here. For all you perverts like me, great shower scene with Tawny Katane. And also, too, the side characters. There's a girl in here, Zarabeth, Kathleen Wilhoit. She plays a clairvoyant who is great. And I've seen her in many other movies. I'm not sure she was in Pretty in Pink, or she was a 80s character actress that was in a lot of teenage films. But I love it. I love the scenes. There's plot twists that I'm not going to give away. There's people that die in the movie that you wouldn't think would die. I love when that happens, because one of the cheesy things is when you watch a horror movie, you can pretty much plot out from the beginning, this person lives, this person dies, this person gets it, this person doesn't. Anytime you have a horror movie that likes to upend that and leaves you guessing as to who is actually going to live or die, I really dig that. So this movie is a big up for me. I'll tell you what, I actually saw this movie again maybe a year ago, and I was freaking scared. I'm not even kidding. When I watched this movie, maybe it was 2 years ago, I saw it, and it gave me, and I was alone, in my place, and I got shivers a little bit, and I was it has a little bit of, some of those scenes when you turn around the corner, and all of a sudden there's, death is waiting for you, and it is a thriller. It has some very good suspenseful scenes. I definitely recommend Witchboard. If you like horror movies, that is my number 14 selection.
Nice.
Did you see that?
No.
Okay.
But I've seen the cover. I'll never forget the cover. I actually knew what you were talking about when you said it right away, but I've actually never seen the film. Yeah.
Also, too, I do have to give some praise to the writer. Kevin Tunney also wrote that. He actually did his research on Ouija boards and how you conduct how spirits, if they do come through a Ouija board, if that is true, I would be highly skeptical, but things to do when you're using a Ouija board, how you shouldn't use a Ouija board. And all of the people that do believe in it, these are some classic ways on how to use it and how to not to use it. He is very to the T as far as the stylings of the Ouija board and mistakes that people make with it and results of the mistakes. Anyway, all right, DM, what do you got for number 13?
Reanimator.
Oh, that is super classic. Almost had it on my list, didn't, but it is a absolute stone cold classic.
It's just fucking weird. And yet again, the guy who plays the lead character, he's a great actor, great character actor, great horror, actor. Just really bizarre. It's almost comical because the main, the main, like the guy's, I think he's the main character's mentor is the person that's brought back, and it's just so strange and like over the top, and I love it because back in the day it was claimed to be banned in like all these different countries.
Right. Very gory.
Very gory, but it's just, to me, it was just very bizarre and odd, and I think that's what the appeal was, and I don't know, I just liked it, and I thought it was a good story. I don't know if it's taken from an actual story, written, a classic. I want to say it is, but I'm not sure. But whoever listens.
Well, Frankenstein, right?
I mean, I guess, yeah. It's another interpretation of Frankenstein, but I thought more specifically H.G. Wells, not H.G. Wells. It feels like somebody wrote this story and then they just made it, adapt it into a film. But anyways, good movie, classic. My one of my first girlfriends at the time showed it to me, and she was a real freak. So I remember,
nice.
No, I meant like she was into that shit. She was into, she had a kind of an interest in like dark magic and all that. She wasn't practicing.
That's what I meant.
Oh yeah.
I didn't mean like sexually. I didn't.
But and so it just, I'll never forget, because we watched at her house with her stepbrother, her foster brother, who she was like hooking up with too. It was weird. But
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just it's classic, and yeah, I liked it. So pretty much it.
Cool. That reminds me a little bit of Hellraiser. That I didn't have it on my list, but only because I saw it when I was young. I didn't see it again. Didn't hit me over the head when I was a kid, but I see a lot of these lists of best horror movies, and a lot of people have it on their list. Right. So definitely is a common horror movie in the top list of the 80s. So we've got number 13. Okay. I don't know, again, I don't know if this is a horror movie. I found it kind of horrific when I was a kid. The movie is, first of all, it stars one of my favorite actors. Well, when I say one of my favorite actors, I'm sure he's passed on, and it's been years since he's done stuff, but he could really play a creepy character so well. Maybe underrated. The name of the actor is Rutger Hauer.
Oh, yeah.
The name of the film is The Hitcher, 1986.
Yes.
C. Thomas Howell. It's considered a road thriller movie, maybe a little bit horror movie. Probably one of the only good movies that C. Thomas Howell did. Ironically, the same year as when he made one of the worst movies of all time, probably, I think, is the one where he dresses up in blackface because of
Soul Man.
Soul Man, yeah. To get into college.
That fucked his career up, dude. Like
him trying to play, of all the kids trying to play a black kid. Hey, brother, and you're like, oh my god,
dude. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
It was really bad. So this was really good if you haven't seen it. Again, it's a good whodunit. Jennifer Jason Leigh, how about that? I can't remember her in that, but she was in that. It's a good whodunit. There's a few plot twists along the way. He loses the guy, then the guy finds him. So it's a great. Actually, as I look at it, it was a flop when it first came out. They spent $8 million to make it, and only made $6 million. It was an enormous hit in the rentals, VHS rentals.
Yeah.
I must have seen it a million times. So anyway, my number 13 movie. Number 13 is The Hitcher. DM, what do you have for your number 12?
I have The Fog, John Carpenter.
Love it.
Classic. Just great story, scary, great cast. I don't know, the whole premise is great. I like, it's another story where I guess you could say it's it's just one of those. It's just basically a story of some people who are, you know, a ship that had been, what is it, like, it's basically like a ship, like a captain and his crew get murdered, right? Or am I correct?
Yeah, well, I think that they were, it has to do with the church. The church supposedly sent a message to them telling them where to dock, and when they told them where to dock was a rocky area, that if there were storms, I think they got shipwrecked. But I don't think they were innocent. I think they were, somehow the church was involved with them financially, maybe. And
okay.
I'm not sure if somebody swam out and took their gold. It has to do with the priest. Has something to do with the church taking their money, I believe.
Right.
The church was in and on it with the pirates.
Right.
They definitely wanted revenge on the church.
It's a revenge flick, and it's basically it's a flick where it's like unsettled business, and then when they finally like fix the problem, then you realize, you know, that, okay, like they just needed like to be not forgiven, but they just needed to fix the problem that initially started this whole thing. But the whole idea of like using fog and the ghosts or spirits, you know, of vengeful spirits, using fog as like their cover or whatever, fucking great, man. Like, it just and it takes over this little sea-bearing town, and I just liked it, and it just scared the shit out of me. Like, John Carpenter's great because his movies generally, like, I don't know, it's like some of them are gory, but for the most part, it's like the story and then how he films it, and the like the situation that the characters are in usually, and he's just classic, man. I don't know, man. Just fucking amazing. So. Yeah,
and not to mention, we have to do something sci-fi, because with John Carpenter, I friggin' love Escape from New York. I friggin' love it so much. One of my favorite 80s movies. Yeah. What I love is Adrienne Barbeau, who actually turned out to be his wife. I think he married her. Really? She was in The Fog. She was in Escape from New York. Of course, she was from Maude in the 1970s, that TV show. Oh. I think she's a very good actress. She was, very good actress. Very good movie, too. It is creepy. It's got a little surprise ending for you. I definitely dig that movie.
I love it. But another movie I watched at night was on TV at, you know, late at night. It was like a 10 p.m. Flick. Classic, though. And great. You know, John Carpenter is probably, of all time, you know, one of my favorite film scores as well, like composers. Like, he just unbelievable fucking how he does that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Also loved playing the priest, one of my favorite character actors, Hal Holbrook.
Yeah, classic.
Who was, in a number of films. The Firm, actually, with Tom Cruise. He was excellent on that. Anyway, okay, so number, what are we on here? Number 12. We're getting up there. Number 12, and it's a franchise. I had mentioned a film previously. This is my favorite film of the franchise. It is Friday the 13th, but not the original. I did not put the original on my list, which is, of course, extremely controversial. Really? Maybe it's the best movie. Yeah, maybe it is the best movie, the original. If you have it on there, I certainly would like to say a few things about it that I did like, because I had a feeling that it's on everybody's list. I think that there's other movies besides the first one that are very good that don't get mentioned on the top list. So my favorite, the scariest one to me, is the final chapter, part 4. Oh. This one has, I believe, without a doubt, the best cast. I mean, you're talking about Crispin Glover plays the dorky kid who comes out and does this great dance. The females in it are ridiculous. I mean, talk about this beautiful cast. Judy Aronson plays one of the girls who was in Weird Science, one of the 2 girls that hooks up with. Anthony Michael Hall, the other guy from Weird Science, she's tremendous. She was just a total babe. Also in the film was, well, I'm going to have to go to this guy's name. It is Lawrence Monason. He was actually in a film that I really dug called The Last American Virgin.
Oh, wow,
in the 1980s. Yeah, he played the main character. I thought that was such a cool teenage movie. It was a total remake of an Italian, which, if you remember some of the scenes, it makes sense. Like they're delivering a pizza to Charo or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, great. It was a really cool film. He was in this as well. You got Peter Barton, who ended up, like I mentioned earlier, there's a guy in Richport that ended up to be a star from General Hospital. Peter Barton ended up to be a star in one of them, All My Children, something. One of those. He's in another movie, actually, further up on my list. It just keeps going and going. Corey Feldman, again, tremendous. Talk about a great kid actor. We mentioned Corey Haim. Corey Feldman has to be one of the greatest child actors ever, I think. He did so many. He was great in The Goonies. He was great in, I apologize if this is on your list, DM, but the Stand By Me, I don't think that's a horror movie. But,
no, but he's a great actor, and I felt for his character, and it's great writing.
And boy, another one. Again, you don't have to mention this if it's on your list. But Lost Boys. I don't have it on my list only because I don't think it's scary enough. But anyway, Friday the 13th Part 4. There's a great one thing I like about this so much is with all the Friday the 13th. I love the cinematography. I love the fact that it's dark out in the woods.
Right.
I can't stand like in the 90s. What became a big proponent of horror movies in the 90s was not like a wide angle, wide lens. It became sort of this sort of constant, like there was Cloverfield, there was the other one where the kids are missing in the woods. What's that big one from the end of the 90s? The Blair Witch. Something where it's like it's constantly following feet and legs and the camera's turning left and right and everything is super up close. I hate that. I hate that look. I hate that filming style. What I like about Friday the 13th, everything is at a distance. Sometimes they're filming from the killer's point of view. Sometimes it's not, but it's back far enough where you can see the whole scene. You can see the woods. You can see the camp. You can see the lake. You can see everything. I really like that style of filming, which is why I like 80s and 70s horror movies so much more than the newer ones. Anyway, another character I loved is this sort of renegade guy that, and you think about Friday the 13th, how many people can Jason kill before some of the families of these people start coming after him?
Right, yeah. Never.
So one of the characters is a vigilante whose sister was killed in the second one. He comes and he's like, I'm here to avenge my sister. And he's a great character. The character is Rob Deere. Anyway, love it. I love the girls in it. I love Trish Jarvis. The introduction, of course, of Tommy Jarvis, who creates another element to the Friday the 13th series. Love it. Love the fact that Tommy Jarvis is a comic book freak and a horror movie freak. Not to mention the fact that, boy, the special effects. Who is the guy? The guy that does all those damn special effects. I'm trying to see right now. I can't believe they don't name him way up in this. There's a guy he was in Dusk Till Dawn. The guy that had the little gun came out of his ear.
He's a Tarantino guy.
Yeah. He was the guy that did the character, made the horror makeup and the special effects. God dang it! I gotta find this guy.
No, I didn't know who he was. Like I didn't know until later. Tommy Savini.
Tom Savini.
He's great.
Dude, his kill scenes are unbelievable. There's a scene with Jason in there that is so super awful and gory. I'm not going to give it away at the end, but you've got to watch it. It is so scary. Go ahead. What are you going to say, DM?
No, I I'm waiting to comment on Friday the 13th, like, cause I have my choices, but yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I saw those, and yeah, so.
Love the darkness, love the woods,
Right.
love Jason as a killer, the hockey mask, the machete.
Right.
All right, so that's number 12. DM, what do you have for number 11?
Well, I'm gonna do this is a 3-deal, 3-package, 3-piece.
Gotcha.
Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3. Loved it. I think they just, they're great. Continuous stories, great cast. It was, I liked how it was a unique ghost story. It's a different kind of ghost, gory, gross. The filming of it, there's controversy over the star actress who died, the little girl, the blonde hair, Heather something, I believe. They used real. In the first one, they used real. They were allowed to. They were given permission to use real bones from a cemetery, or was it a cemetery? But they used real bones, for the surgery.
Probably not from a cemetery.
Okay,
probably from a hospital or something.
Right. A morgue,
slaughterhouse or
something like that. Like good cast, good story. The little woman who played
she's great. The clairvoyant.
The clairvoyant. She's a classic actress. It was the first time that I had seen a team of ghost hunters in a movie, and because every time you watch a ghost movie before that, it was like, well, there's a ghost, and either it's going to kill me or drive me insane or fuck with me or have sex, try to rape the person or whatever. But this was a different one, and it just, I don't know, I can't say enough. And the second one, good cast again. The special effects.
You're gonna die. The
old man. He just want to fucking, you just want to be like, well, I'll cut his fucking head off. Like, you just, he's there. He can't come, he, like, it's based, then you look up and you find the history that, of the ghosts. Then the guy, I like the shaman character. I like the guy who plays the shaman. He's a really good actor. Trying to think what else. Oh, the first one's funny because it's like, I notice a lot of these horror movies, how they, a lot of characters like smoke joints. Like, that's a thing because it was like the 70s and early 80s. And it was pretty acceptable back then, before Reagan really kicked in that don't say no shit with Nancy Reagan. But the third one,
I know what you mean. The parents got high, right?
The mom. I don't know if the dad did, but the mom did. And what's great is it's classic because back in the day, stoners had roach clips with feathers, and then she had a roach clip with the feather and a fucking cigar box. Like, all these stoners throughout history, especially from the 60s. There's always if your parents or your friends or whoever got high, they always had a cigar box for some reason. And then you see all the utensils, but classic. The second one's just a continuation. Third one's great because it takes place in Chicago at the Hancock. So every time I see the Hancock building, I'm thinking, oh, that's where they filmed Poltergeist 3.
Interesting. So you got all three. We're talking about 11, 10, and 9. Going to the top 10. I'll tell you what. I'll talk about this too because that's technically my number 11 was Poltergeist.
Cool.
Toby Hooper, of course, of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Salem's Lot, continues his onslaught of fantastic horror movies into the 1980s. One of the most classic scenes in all horror movies is the clown scene, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Where it comes alive. The tree scene as well with the little kid, where it goes into his room. Yeah, this was a very good. I'll tell you what, dude. This film met some controversy besides, of course, Heather O'Rourke, who played the little blonde girl, died early. And there's lots of people on the film, on the set, like Exorcist, that experienced some events, traumatic events after the filming of the movie or during. But this was an enormous hit, besides the fact that Steven Spielberg, who hired Toby Hooper, who was obviously a very large ego, tried to kind of take credit for the movie more than the director.
Really?
He tried to say basically, this was mine, and actually the Motion Picture Administration Association got involved and told him to retract his statement in a paper in the LA Times, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, because he kind of overstepped his boundaries. Anyway, a very good movie, and the controversy, of course, as well, is that this movie ended up being a PG movie, which prompted PG-13 ratings a few years afterwards. This movie, as well as Gremlins, were two movies that were, this was more scary. It wasn't gory that I can remember at all. But Gremlins did get kind of gory, and there was kind of a lot of death. Great fucking movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it did prompt this PG-13 rating. Jaws, I believe, was PG back in the day, so it's amazing how many movies as a kid you could see when you were younger. I saw Poltergeist at the movie theater when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Which is kind of young.
That was scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I have to be honest, it didn't really scare me as much as seeing some other things on screen when I was a kid. And I do have to be a little bit honest. I think that maybe this movie is higher up on other lists. Through the years, it's kind of gone down a little bit for me as far as level of scary, but I don't think you can argue with the fact that it's a massive hit. And it was a very good movie. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead, believe it or not, I screwed up with my list, and I don't think I had a number 9. I went back and I renumbered some things, and coming to look at it, I believe I skipped number 9. So, Jim, if it's okay with you, I'm just going to go into my number 10.
Yeah.
As long as we're done with Poltergeist. Okay, let me go.